Hello. I want to talk about the way you feel about your dog, and I want to look at a specific word, love. Now, this is really interesting because if we say that we love our dogs, we think we could actually be connected to our dogs, but in reality, this can and does keep us disconnected from our dogs. So why would that be, especially when we think about the word love? That's an intense feeling of deep affection or a great interest and pleasure in something or another person or another thing, or something that you like or someone that you like or enjoy very much. So that sounds like a really good state to be in, mindset to have. But if we look at that a little bit closely, the word love, the part of the brain that processes that intense feeling is the reward centres. And so if we are focusing on love per se, then this can actually keep us disconnected because we are also attached to that situation or that person in that given moment. But that feeling, that intense feeling, can also be very fleeting, especially when we think about our dogs. We could be looking at them and, laughing at them, and then all of a sudden they perform a behaviour that we find undesirable, that we don't like, and all of a sudden that intense feeling of great affection and deep affection is gone. So that's a very superficial way of living with that mindset. I want to also just compare another type of love, which is agape love, A-G-A-P-E. This is associated with religion, with Christianity, and it's a deliberate choice where that human acts or decides to have a lived experience that is selfless, that has patience, and that is working to put others first. But that can also be an attachment as well, because depending on our belief systems, our attachments can be having detrimental consequences on the very animals, humans, or situations that we love, with that higher form of love as well. And we may actually also be causing ourselves suffering in that situation, and having consequences that are detriment to our own health. And we may also be causing suffering to others. And there's a very, very prominent person who was canonised in 2016 who, despite living in this deliberate choice of agape love, inadvertently caused the suffering of millions of other people across the globe. So this is very interesting. Now, when we look at the word reconnection, whereas love is a description, with respect to reconnection, this is a true state of being, and it's a peaceful, quiet presence that we are living. And it's a state of non-reactivity, and that means we're also connected to empathy, joy, compassion, and warmth. And those feelings provide us with a higher intelligence when we're looking at different situations, and that helps us to gain wisdom. We see the bigger picture, not in that situation, but then we start to see the fractals of consciousness related to our dog's life, our dog's diet, what is happening across the world every single day to millions and millions of dogs across the planet because of the lifestyle that humans have put dogs in, and the genetic manipulation of dogs over the past 10,500 years at least. So we see the bigger picture, the fractals of consciousness, and what we do is we act in a conscious way. But it's not a deliberate or forced way of acting. It is a shift. It's a gentle shift. And so we're not in our human conditioned mindset. The lived experience for us is one of wisdom, as I mentioned. It's one of peace. It's one of non-reactivity. It's one of observation and detachment. We're stepping back in the present moment and we're able to see the reality of a situation. So that means we're not in our human conditioned mindset, and it means that we're not in our thoughts, trapped in our thoughts, or our identity, or our belief systems. And so that also means that we're not causing the suffering of our dog with respect to everyday situations, because we know what dogs need as a species. We understand what dogs need to have emotional satisfaction. We also come to terms with the calamity of what we have done, not just to dogs, but to every other captive species. I mean, how grotesque is it to have an animal that has wings and flies as a natural part of their life to be put in a cage where they don't have the ability to even stretch their wings. So when we're reconnected with our dogs, this helps us to see the bigger picture, the global picture, and then we act consciously. So whereas if we say we love our dogs, because we're in our human conditioned mindset, it's likely that we're not going to act consciously in a given situation. We're not going to see the big picture of things. So just in this brief video, I just want you to look at those things that I talked about, the categories of love and how we feel about our dogs. Now, look, we can intellectualise things, but what I want to get across to you, the most important thing is the lived experience. When you're reconnected with your dog, you are at peace, you have a higher intelligence, you gain wisdom from that, and you're reducing the suffering of everybody, including yourself, in any given situation for everybody concerned, not just yourself, not just your dog, but for everybody concerned. So I hope what I've tried to convey to you is of value to you, and that you'll make the first choice and simply reconnect with your dog in any way that's meaningful for you in any situation. We'll talk again soon.